Okay, the second member of the panel is our own Boubacar Diakité. He's a preceptor of African languages, particularly Manikakan, Nkokan, at Harvard University. He's one of the leaders of the Nko movement in the diaspora. He's broadcast daily through the internet in Nko. He never stops teaching people how to write Nko. He's a doctoral candidate in linguistics at Indiana University. He's writing a dissertation about Nko phonology-driven grammar and tone as a productive morphological process. And he's probably taking on much more than that. That's just my impression from a distance. He's the reason that Nko is being taught at Harvard University. He's the reason that we all get to have these visitors. And what he's doing is extremely important. He's going to be talking today. His paper is entitled Linguistic Orthography versus Official Orthography. Diakité.
Well, we all know that in Africa we are new in writing our languages. What I mean is most of our languages were not written. So after independence, some of our countries tried to invent scripts to start writing. But some of our countries started before, as some of the first Europeans landed on the continent and they started writing our languages for us. Now, we also know that before the Europeans came, well, I'm assuming, the Arabs or some of the Muslims had started writing their languages in Arabic script. For example, in Mali, we know about the manuscripts of Timbuktu. Some are written in Arabic, some are in African languages using the Ajami, the Arabic script. Now, why then, if you already have several orthographies to write your language, why would you go and create a new one to write it? So that's the fundamental question that I'm trying to answer here. We know that languages differ, and they differ tremendously. For example, we know that European languages share the same Latin alphabet, or the Latinate alphabet. And it fits those languages. But when you go to Arabia and you find Arabic and Persian language or some of the South Asian languages, and you try to write those languages in the Latinate alphabet, you'll find yourself creating more trouble than you solve. So it is not good enough to write those languages. And if you try to write European languages with the Arabic script, you are not going to be successful either, because the difference between these languages are so huge that it cannot be covered in the script that you're using. So for instance, we know that Arabic uses only 3 vowels, at least the official or the Fusha, the official Arabic. How are you going to be able to write a language that uses 10 vowels with a script that only writes 3 vowels? That's a problem. So there is no way we can write our languages, some of our languages, with the Arabic script. But beyond that, most of our African languages, or at least some of the sub-Saharan African languages, are tonal. So now, plus the vowel issue, if we put on top the tonal issues, then we can be sure that Arabic is not going to be a good script for our languages. So that the first problem that Africans faced, or some of the Africans faced, and they were happy when they saw European script, the European alphabet, being used to write their languages, thinking that the issues will be solved. But unfortunately for them, after a century of learning to read and write in their own languages, they are still unproductive in their languages. So then there is a need to create something that will allow Africans to use their own languages to write, but most importantly, to help children learn faster. So this is the question that pushed Karamoko Sulemana on one of his trips to Ivory Coast to create a script that can write our languages. Now, if you look at the Arabic script, vowel multiplied, or the consonants multiplied by the number of vowels that you have in the language, you are about 300 syllables that you can write. If you take Latin script, for us, French script, if you take the Latin script and you multiply the consonants to the number of vowels you have, you are making about less than 1,000 syllables. Now, to write our language, we need more than 2,000 syllables, which means if I say a word, I say ba, and then you write it B-A, that's fine. But when I say ba, you write it B-A, there is something wrong. Then I say ba, you write it B-A, you add into the problem. So this is the issue that we were facing before. And Solomana Kante thought about it and said, if you try to take the hat of, well, the roof of a hat, to put it on another hat, maybe it will be either too large or too small. So the good thing for you is to create your own hat, your own roof to fit the hat you have. So that's why he created the script. Now, I know we do not have enough time to go through all the tonal stuff, but also my presentation is in Nko, so I'm trying to read it like this. Now, Nko, after solving these issues, was then faced with what we call official. Now, local people are writing in Nko. There are several books that have been published in Nko. Karamogo Jane alone published more than 100 books. Now, you're looking at somebody like Karamogo Bamba, who has published more than 20 books, even though he himself may not have been the author of the books, but from his talks on radio and television, people made books out of that. But also, Karamogo Keita, who's a traditional therapist, he's also written several books. Now, if you look at the script, the Bambara script, and you look at the books that have been published in that script, there are very few. And if they are about how to go to, maybe how to farm, how to do this, how to do that, but it's not really a language that you can use in education. So it is like what they call literacy program. So you learn how to read and write. But to begin, you are also reading you are saying more than what you can read or what you can write. So then the issue is then students are tired because they cannot write all the things they want to write. And if they write something today, 10 days later they cannot read it the same way. So now, because we are facing this official thing, the question is then, do we have to follow the linguistic orthography that fits our language, or do we just have to stick to what is legal or what is assumed to be the official? So if you write, for example, today in Ko, and you went to the radio station and you want to, for example, broadcast something, they will return it, saying, no, we cannot read this, this is not official. Please go rewrite it in the official script. So this is the next stage we are facing. But what I wanted to add to that before I conclude is that if for some people, the issue is how are we going to use technology to write our languages, then we are showing here that it is possible to use a different script and also to use it with all the devices that we have today. So me and Karamogojane, for example, we have worked with Apple, and we were able to put in the market some programs that use Nko to write. We can tweet in Nko, we can write emails in Nko, we can go on Facebook on Nko. People are sending letters in Nko and everything. Then there's another program, Triage. So we are following the technological creativity. There is Triage outside. We wanted to create Triage in Nko. We were able to do it. Now, Microsoft Windows 8 recently came out, and it has included Nko fonts and Nko keyboards with its program. So now, anywhere you go, you can find Nko. You go to China, Nko is in your Windows 8. You may not find it yourself, but it's inside. So that's what I wanted to say, and thank you.